Hey, guys, this is Timebreaker Saiyan and welcome to my channel. If you want me to add music to the videos, let me know, and I'm sorry I didn't upload video stuff going on and I got a new laptop for this. And this is what if Naruto had Majin Buu seal inside him.
Chapter 1 Prologue. With a massive explosion, Goku's spirit bomb obliterated Kid Buu. But the pink psycho had one last trick. He used Goku's instant transmission to try and teleport away even as he was obliterated. As a result, a piece of skin the size of a walnut escaped to another dimension. But it was completely out of energy, and if it didn't find a large source of energy fast, then even this piece of Kid Buu would perish. So it latched onto the largest source of energy it found, that of the Kyuubi no Kitsune. It was then sealed along with the Kyuubi into an infant Naruto. 5 years later, Naruto was crying alone in his wrecked bed. He was crying not because of any physical pain, but the emotional pain of being alone. Meanwhile, inside the seal, Kid Buu had finally finished absorbing the Kyuubi and all its memories. Absorbing the mind of a near-millennium-old demon had done wonders for his intelligence and even helped him familiarize himself with where he was and how to get out. Naruto's sadness had slightly weakened the seal, not nearly enough for the Kyuubi to even consider escaping since the seal was only 5 years old. But it was more than enough for Kid Buu to try his luck. Kid Buu concentrated before firing a massive pink blast at the seal. The gates groaned and cracked, but held for now. Suddenly, Kid Buu sensed someone behind him. "What are you doing here?" a red-haired woman asked the pink monster. Kid Buu turned round and said, "Me, Buu, kill you." Deep down in Buu's mind, he recognized the woman who had sealed him before. So he changed his mind. Instead, he was going to eat her. Buu disappeared in a show of speed far beyond anything Kushina could comprehend. Once he was behind her, a pink bit of his skin expanded into a cocoon that enveloped Kushina. It shrunk down to the size of a soccer ball before splashing against Buu's chest. Buu quickly absorbed her. He was now grinning evilly. "I know how to escape." Buu smashed his hand against the gate. The only thing separating the paper seal and Buu's hand was the gate itself. Buu began channeling this world's power, chakra, into his hand before twisting the metal clockwise. This caused much more damage to the gates than Buu's previous blast. He then jumped back and powered up a Kamehameha. Back in the real world, Naruto felt something wet coming from his stomach. He took off his shirt and gasped. His seal had turned completely black and was leaking out ink into his bed and shirt. Suddenly the world went dark for Naruto as he was sucked into the seal. Inside the seal, "Freedom at last," Buu thought as he stepped out of the wrecked gates. Absorbing the woman had made him into Buff Buu again, instead of Kid Buu. He grinned evilly as he saw the Yondaime Hokage appear standing in front of him. "What kind of monster are you, and what have you done with the Kyuubi?" Buff Buu knew from Kushina's memories the power of the Yondaime and his techniques. He wanted it all. Without saying a word, Buff Buu roared and smashed into the Yondaime, pile-driving him into a wall. Minato was almost dead from the single blow. "What is he?" was all Minato was allowed to think before he was absorbed by Buu, turning him back into Super Buu. "Ah, much better. I may be weaker, but the insanity is gone. I am me again, and these techniques will come in handy. Ha 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 ha." Super Buu frowned as he looked around. He may be out of the seal, but not out of Naruto's body. Memories of Goku and Vegeta playing havoc inside of him, despite not being sealed, gave him a theory. This kid is similar to Vegeta. His darkness is hidden deep within him. A Majin spell should work, but I don't know the magic that created me. Wait, I could fuse with him. Yes, I do know how to create a permanent fusion. That would bring out his inner darkness and free me at the same time. Super Buu closed his eyes. Found you. Before using an instant transmission to teleport to Naruto's location. Naruto opened his eyes and found himself in a sewer. Before he could familiarize himself further with the scenery, a terrifying pink monster appeared. Ah! Who are you? Naruto fell on his ass and Crab walked backward. The pink monster laughed, and whatever amusement one would feel about the pink skin quickly drained away once he heard the laugh. It sounded evil and harsh, like a monster. And those black sclerae with red irises were very scary for the 5-year-old Naruto. I am Super Buu. I am the power deep inside you, the monster that demands to be awakened. You cannot free me, so instead fuse with me. What? Was this the reason that the villagers hated him? This pink monster is inside of him. Was this the demon inside of him? No, I won't become what they hate. Naruto was filled with righteous anger. You already are. You've done nothing to them since you were born to make them think that you were anything other than a child. And look where that has gotten you. No friends, no decent place to live after the orphanage threw you out. Fuse with me, and nothing on this pathetic planet will be able to stop us. We will be one being. Fuse with me. Super Buu was creating an earthquake in his mindscape with his roar. I won't hurt my precious people. Then leave. With my power, you will be able to leave when you want. There are only a few things you will need to absorb before you can leave forever. Naruto blinked. That was a very compelling argument. Fuck the villagers. Most will hate me anyway. Okay, let's do it. What do I need to do? Naruto looked back at Super Buu, who grinned evilly. Just keep your hand touching my chest, and I'll do the rest. Naruto nodded and waited for Super Buu to lie down before putting his right hand on Buu's chest. Suddenly there was a massive explosion of pink energy as the fusion process began. Back in the real world, Sarutobi's shinobi senses were going crazy as he rushed towards Naruto's house, leading a group of ANBU behind him. All his shinobi had felt a release of the full power of Kyuubi's chakra for a second before it disappeared. One of his ANBU members was a Hyuga branch member and had informed Sarutobi what had gone on right after the Kyuubi's chakra had been felt. Flashback. Report, Sarutobi demanded his ANBU members, paying particular interest to Falcon. Sir, 20 seconds ago, Kyuubi... At this, the ANBU member trailed off and looked pleadingly at Sarutobi through his mask. Sarutobi waved his hand. I'll waive the law for now. Just tell me what happened. Yes, sir. The Kyuubi Jinchūriki's seal seemed to fail for about a second. All of the Kyuubi's chakra flooded the boy's system, and I was sure his coils would burst and release the Kyuubi. But after a second it stabilized, and I realized that the Kyuubi must have made a bid to escape, but the Yondame's seal held. That was until the Kyuubi's chakra in the boy's system didn't fade away. It fused with the boy's and became pink. You mean to tell me that Naruto's chakra is pink? What does it mean? I don't know, sir. I am still monitoring the situation even as we speak. His chakra appears to be darkening now. Not in color, but in feel. Naruto, for the lack of a better description, is becoming darker as we speak. End flashback. Naruto, what is happening to you? Back at Naruto's apartment. Raha! The animalistic roar of Naruto was never ending. As his roars and yells grew louder, the entire apartment block began shaking. Suddenly, his roar became completely inhuman, screeching like a harpy. Think the same scream that Super Buu lets out when he is first formed. The Sandaime Hokage and his ANBU bodyguards arrived too late. Naruto was already shaking up the entire village, and his monstrous and evil power just kept on growing. Red lightning started arching around Naruto's body as he started slowly rising up. The shaking got worse and worse, until finally Naruto screamed and unleashed a massive column of purple energy that vaporized a block of houses. When the dust finally cleared, Naruto was long gone. In the air, "Wahoo, I am free!" Majin Naruto yelled out as he smashed through a mountain headfirst, causing it to crumble. Suddenly, he stopped and began to think out loud. Kyuubi says that there are 9 Biju. Naruto put his hand underneath his chin as he thought whilst hovering. "I'll just eat them all." Kumo. Using Super Buu's ability to sense power levels, Majin Naruto flew straight to his first victims, a dark-skinned male and a blonde-haired female. Killer Bee and Yugito were busy training to harness their Biju when an odd and somewhat terrifying person appeared in front of them. This person looked to be a 12-year-old kid and was dressed in strange clothes. His body was completely naked from the waist up, save for some black with gold outline vambraces that also covered the top of his hands. On his waist was a black belt that came down slightly in the middle due to the gold badge or buckle in the front of the belt. A stylized black M was printed on the gold buckle, lost white pants that came all the way down and tucked into his black with gold outline boots. The boy had yellow, spiky hair. But what really got the pair unnerved were the boy's eyes and laugh. His sclerae were pitch black with red irises, and his quiet laugh was pure evil. "Who are you?" Killer Bee asked. "Run, Bee, run!" the Hachibi said to his partner. The same thing was occurring with the Nibi and Yugito. "Run, Kit, run!" "Ha ha ha ha! My name is Naruto, Majin Naruto Buu, and I'm going to eat you." Naruto's long tongue licked his lips. "I'll make you into dark chocolate." Naruto pointed at Killer Bee. "Yes, very, very dark." Before Bee could react, a pink beam was fired from Naruto's right index finger. Killer Bee screamed before, in a puff of smoke, he was turned into a dark chocolate bar. Yugito was in shock. She didn't even react when Naruto appeared next to her and picked up the chocolate bar that used to be her sensei and fellow Jinchuriki. He tossed the whole bar into his mouth and munched on it right in front of Yugito's eyes before swallowing. "Yes, you will now be milk chocolate." Pure, unadulterated terror was all Yugito felt before she was eaten. 2 days later, "Well, this is boring. It took me 1 day to eat the rest of the Jinchuriki, and another to digest their Biju. Now to spit out the trash and leave." Again, Majin Naruto was relying on memories of the old Buu. Keeping people you don't need alive inside of you will cause you all sorts of problems. So after digesting the Biju of the Jinchuriki, Naruto decided to spit the Jinchuriki out again before they affected his mentality. Taking a deep breath, Naruto spat out 7 people. The Sanbi didn't have a Jinchuriki, so that saved time. With 7 puffs of smoke, 7 unconscious former Jinchuriki appeared. Now it was time for Naruto to think, and he hated thinking. "Well, I could jump around a guess, go to other worlds with instant transmission, but the Buu in me likes candy and the Naruto likes humans, just not these humans. So dimension jumps, it is." Naruto powered up. The veins in his ripped body stood out before he roared. "Let me out!" An almost invisible blast was fired from his mouth, charged up with crimson lightning. It impacted against what seemed to be an invisible wall. In reality, though, it was ripping a hole in the dimension. The result was a hole about the size of Naruto's head, which was no problem for him. Naruto turned himself into a liquid and stretched until he was thin enough before going through the hole, which closed up soon after. Chapter 2. Introductions. Terra was a blonde-haired metahuman with the power to control the Earth. Many people would dream of having such a power. Unfortunately for Terra, she couldn't control her power, and the results were earthquakes and avalanches wherever she went, and all her friends and family had turned against her the moment they found out. And so she ran away. "I don't have anywhere to go. I am all alone." Terra refused to cry as she trudged through the snow. The village behind her had a kind, elderly couple who took her in, until she caused an avalanche that wiped it out. She didn't even notice the cold anymore. Her teeth were chattering, and the icicles were forming on her body. "I feel tired." These were Terra's last thoughts before she collapsed in the snow. Above her, a shirtless blonde boy watched over her. Her power level is one of the highest on this planet, but it's raw, with no control. She's trying to push an ocean through a needle, and she is hurt mentally. Stupid humans to treat us, the superior fighters, like trash. Naruto flew down and picked Terra up, throwing her over his shoulder. Before traveling back to the village, it appeared that most of it was destroyed, but there were around 24 survivors. Naruto pointed his index finger at them. "Boo, make you candy!" He fired a pink beam at the village, which spread out like a ripple. Everyone hit by it was turned into jawbreakers. He heard Terra groan and realized that he had forgotten about her, or at the very least, wasn't thinking about her when he made those people into candy. He might be able to survive off of high sugar content foods and drinks, but she couldn't. A trip to another remote village solved that problem. Regaining consciousness was a long process for Terra. First was the warmth. She was no longer cold, in fact, she felt toasty warm. Then there was the light. No color, since her eyes were still closed. Just warmth and light. Slowly her eyelids crept open, to a strangely homey scene. She appeared to be in a cave at night, because the only light seemed to be coming from a nearby fire. A boy about her age was sitting there. He was shirtless, and his back looked incredibly ripped for his age. He had blonde hair and appeared to be roasting some marshmallows over the fire. Next to him was a roasted and stuffed turkey on a silver platter. She had no idea where the hell he had gotten a roast turkey, but her stomach reminded her how much she wanted it. She blushed and hoped the boy didn't hear that. Apparently, he did. "So you're awake." The boy didn't turn away from his roasting marshmallows whilst he addressed her. Terra shivered at his voice. It was somehow harsh and smooth. "The turkey is for you. I only eat candy." Now, if that wasn't the strangest statement she ever heard. She even entertained the thought that it was poisoned, but nothing added up. Who are you, and where am I?" she began, crawling towards the turkey. "I am Naruto, Majin Naruto Buu," he told the second sentence very slowly, placing an emphasis on each word. It sounded ominous as hell. Meanwhile, Terra reached the turkey and began to smell it. The smell broke her will, and she began to inhale the turkey. Halfway through tearing apart the turkey, she froze, horrified at her table manners. But when she looked up at Naruto, he was eating his marshmallows. He didn't even spare her a glance. She couldn't see all of his face from this angle, but she could see that his front and arms were just as muscular as his back. She blushed and turned back to her food. Soon the silence became unbearable to her, and so searching for a conversation starter, she chose the most stupid and inane question she could think of. "Why do you only eat candy?" She then kicked herself for asking that question. For all she knew, this turkey was his meal, and the marshmallows were his dessert. In fact, she was almost sure of it. She once again was about to get a surprise. "Boo likes candy, and milkshakes, and cake. I need it." He held up a massive bag of giant jawbreakers. It must have been on the other side of his body. He popped 3 into his mouth and bit down. Terra winced when she heard a crack, but to her astonishment, the jawbreakers were quickly crunched up and swallowed. He then tossed her one. Surprised, she instinctively caused a rock to fly in its flight path to protect her. She froze when she saw that Naruto, or as he was calling himself, Buu, had seen it, before he simply turned back and began eating his jawbreakers, nonchalant as you like. This was a first for Terra. Doesn't anything faze this guy? I made the earth move, yet he finds his jawbreakers more interesting. Terra was a little ticked off, but she wasn't sure why. She had longed to be accepted. But this casual disregard for her power rubbed her the wrong way. I want to be acknowledged. Crunch, crunch, crunch! Naruto continued to eat his jawbreakers. Terra moved back a little in surprise. Where did that come from? She then looked again at Naruto. This is the body of a sweet addict? What a hot weirdo. Ah, where did that come from? I'm only 12. Now thoroughly confused, Terra made as if to leave. To her surprise, Naruto didn't even try to stop her. She got outside and her powers, as well as her sight, told her that she was in a canyon lit by the moonlight. There wasn't a soul in sight. Maybe that's why he wasn't concerned about me leaving, but he wasn't surprised at my power either. So he should at least be worried that I could move through here or overpower him since this is my turf. But wait, he brought me here. Ah, this is so confusing. I'll just ask him why he brought me here. She turned back and froze. Buu was right behind her, well in front of her now, and his eyes. They were jet black with evil red irises. I didn't even feel the vibrations from him moving. Wait, he's not moving at all. Fuck, he's scary. Throughout her mental debate, Naruto hadn't moved at all. Either Terra was braver than she gave herself credit for, or she was still in shock, because she didn't scream. Instead, she whimpered. Excuse me, Mr. Buu. Terra was treading water here. Majin. Huh? What? It was such a strange response. Wasn't he referring to himself as Buu a while ago? It's Majin Naruto Buu. Majin is my title. So it's Majin Buu instead of Mr. Buu. Or if we get closer, just call me Naruto. Closer? That's it. I'm tired of being confused. Why did you, rescue me? Where did you find me? Was it you who got me out of the snow? Why are you helping me? Terra needed to voice all her concerns before they drove her crazy. Naruto started laughing. Ha 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 ha. It was full of twisted humor and suffering. Definitely not the laugh that should be coming out the mouth of a child. I helped you because we are the same. I was beaten and stabbed from the age of 5. Again and again, they called me a monster. At that time, the only unusual thing I had on my face were 3 lines on each cheek, like whiskers. Terra was horrified. She checked his cheeks. No such marks remained. But those eyes, they certainly weren't normal. So they occurred after. But after what? I finally became their monster, but I couldn't harm those precious to me, so I ran away. But all other humans are free game now. You know all about running from the weaklings, don't you, Terra? Terra took a step back. It made her sound like a coward. From what she had grasped, the strong do not run from the weak. Am I weak? She didn't realize that she had said it out loud. Yes, Terra, you are. Whether you want to rule the weak, protect the weak, or destroy the weak, the strong do not run from the weak. But I can make you strong. I can make you into Majin Terra. Terra fell on her knees and grasped her head. Can you teach me control? Majin Naruto Buu grinned evilly. Yes, Terra, I can make you control the world you live in. The next day, both Naruto and Terra were standing on 2 boulders facing each other. The sun was just beginning to rise. Now, Terra, the first thing I'm going to teach you is to awaken your power and control it. In order to do that, You have to throw away whatever it is that is holding you back. Naruto was taking a page from Minato and Kushina's memories, specifically how Jiraiya had trained Minato and how Kushina had harnessed the Kyuubi's power. Both times they had strong minds and were confident in their success. So the first step in her power was a strong mind. Awaken my power? No! I want to control it, not make it stronger! Terra's conflict must have become visible to Naruto because he answered her without hearing a thing. That's exactly the reason you can't control it. You're ashamed of it. You keep on denying a part of yourself, bottling it up again and again, and it will pop again and again. You must accept it, Terra. Accept that you were born different, that people will hate you for being different. Remember those that hurt you. No. Unwillingly, Terra had flashbacks of her parents and friends. She tried to help them all, but her powers caused massive disasters instead. They all turned their backs on her. Worse still, her second, adopted parents pretended to like her until they tried to kill her. They were her first, be it unwilling, kills, along with half the town being buried in volcanic ash. The entire canyon floor was beginning to shake. Naruto grinned. Just a little more. What are you going to do, Terra? Are you going to hate them, ignore them, protect them? Whatever you decide, they can't control you. You have to ascend past their prejudices. Ah! The entire canyon was shaking. Cracks in the earth extended from Terra. Cliffs split in half and collapsed. Rivers were redirected or sunk into massive potholes. 3 hills or rocks were simply shaking to pieces and collapsed. Terra's eyes were glowing yellow as her power ran its course. Naruto was laughing all the way through the quake. Finally, Terra's powers ran out and she dropped to her hands and knees. Remarkably, the boulder that she was on remained intact. Naruto stopped laughing and began to speak again. Good, Terra. It's been 20 minutes, and already you have passed the first test. You have destroyed your first barrier. We have just begun to negate your human parents' hold over you, but we must completely destroy your fear to awaken your full power. Only then can you begin the long amount of training necessary to control it. I warn you, this second step takes a lot longer than the first step. You must stop being weak by abandoning your fear. Are you ready? Terra felt a bit better now that she had vented. In fact, she was a little ticked off. As she stood back up, her thoughts were a bit random. Doesn't anything faze this guy? I shook up an entire canyon, and he laughed it off. He isn't even injured. Sure. What am I supposed to do? Terra knew that he was helping her. She could feel it. But she got the feeling that this next step was physical. You are going to attack me with everything you have, because no matter what you do, you won't be able to kill me. What? Ready, begin! Naruto shot forward right at her. She panicked and jumped off her boulder, making a rock ledge from the cliff behind her to catch her. And a good thing, too, as Naruto's fist caught the boulder and vaporized it from the amount of strength he put in the blow. Whoa, no wonder he was confident. Can I actually hurt him? Terra disconnected her ledge and used it to fly away. And not a second too late, as Naruto had jumped up, and his kick tore a gouge in the cliff face. Okay, note to self, do not get close to Naruto, or is it Buu? How close are we? Which kind of close am I talking about? Naruto landed on the ground and took the choice away from her. He pushed himself up like a bullet, straight at her. She made a split-second decision to jump off her flying rock ledge before summoning another boulder from the ground to ride on. She got a front-row seat to watch Naruto plow head-first through her earlier ride without the slightest hint of discomfort. He then dropped down without a hint of fear. In a burst of ingenuity, Terra created a deep hole where Naruto was going to land. A thing that happens with ideas. When it rains, it pours. Terra was shocked at how easily her power was coming to her, so she extended the hole and turned it into a slide, one that sloped up sharply at the end. Naruto went down one hole and shot up from another. Terra then levitated two massive boulders. Clapping her hands together, she smashed the rocks into Naruto, pancaking him. She was confident that he was invulnerable, so imagine her shock when instead of a crash of two rocks hitting steel, his skin, she heard a wet splat. She felt cold. Icy cold feelings of dread and fear wrapped themselves around her heart. Despair came soon after. What had she done? She wasn't even aware that she was falling. All her attention was on the pink splat on her two boulders. She had killed her teacher. Terra hit the ground and passed out. She never saw the pink flesh begin to wobble and flex. Slade had seen enough in his hidden mountain base. He turned off his cameras and went to go and fetch Terra himself. That boy's training methods would have put her completely out of his control, but hopefully his death would shock her so badly that she would become his apprentice. If not, he could wait a few more years for Robin, but he was sure she would accept. Because Slade turned off his cameras, he too missed Majin Buu's resurrection. So imagine Slade's shock when he saw the boy, alive and well, holding Terra. Even worse for him, the boy saw him too. That was when the boy started laughing at Slade. For the first time in his life, Slade wondered if he'd been set up. Every sense of self-preservation was screaming at him, "Do not engage." At least without further information on the boy's abilities, as all he knew for sure was the boy was incredibly strong and devious to fake his death to see if Terra was under surveillance. It never occurred to him that his eyes, which saw the boy being squished by two boulders, did not deceive him. Chapter 3. Fight Against the Apprentice. When Terra opened her eyes, it was once again the sight of her teacher. He was standing over her, his legs on either side of her waist, looking down at her. Terra wondered if this was a dream. If it was, she was going to play along. "Naruto, you're alive!" Naruto just stepped away from her and pointed at something behind her. She turned on her stomach and saw that there was a box of cereal, a bowl and some milk. It looked quite ridiculous, just sitting there in the middle of a canyon. "Eat your breakfast. We are not done yet. You still have not thrown away your fear. You must try to kill me. Only then will your instincts guide you to greater power." Fuck, that's it for speeches. I was right. All these people do is talk. After his little inner rant, Naruto checked up on Terra and found her once again inhaling the entire box of cereal and the box of milk. She ate quickly with a spoon made of stone. Once she finished eating, she stood up from her seat on the ground and turned back to Naruto. "You ready, apprentice? This time, you cannot hold back, or I will kill you. You must try to kill me." "But you said I would never be able to—" Whatever Terra was about to say was interrupted, when with zero warning, Naruto shot forward at her with his fist cocked back. She almost screamed as she jumped back. But it wasn't nearly enough. Naruto was drawing on more of his strength this time. His fist smashed the ground, and the shockwave sent her flying. Shit, he really is trying to kill me. Naruto was already shooting forward at her again. He opened his mouth and let out a happy cry. Raha! It scared her shitless, and she created the biggest, thickest wall of earth to protect her. What kind of monster is he? Somehow she knew that the wall wouldn't protect her. She created a column of earth to make her way up into the sky. She wasn't even registering that her power was coming to her more and more easily. She felt Naruto impact the wall. In fact, just about everything in the entire canyon felt the impact. Naruto plowed through her wall as if it were tissue paper before continuing on to plow through her column. She made the top part of her column separate and then flew away. Suddenly, she felt a boulder being fired at her from behind. She spun around and made the boulder stop in mid-air before firing it back at Naruto. Now, she was beginning to notice the amount of improvements in her control. Whoa, this feels great! Suddenly, out from the dust cloud, where Naruto was a pink ball of energy, was fired. Terra jumped off her ride. This time she was confident that her powers would aid her. Her eyes glowed yellow, and she hit the ground as if it was water. Naruto grinned. That's more like it. A hidden attack. Now let's see if she will actually try to kill me. Suddenly, 2 columns as thick as his chest rose up out of the ground and slammed into his sides. One on his left and one on his right. Below the crushing columns were Naruto's legs, and above them were his shoulders and head. Terra rose out of the ground in front of him. This time, she didn't pass out. Instead, she looked quite curious that he didn't look like he was in a hint of pain. And her 2 columns were definitely touching each other on a flat surface. She could feel it. So that meant his body was definitely crushed. Then Naruto started laughing. Excellent work, Terra. I will no longer call you apprentice or girl. You have earned the right for me to call you by your first name always. But now we get to the last part of your training. This part only ends when you die. Are you ready? Terra blinked and moved the columns away, revealing the crushed upper body of her teacher. He put his thumb in his mouth and did something off of childish cartoons. He seemed to inflate himself. His upper chest and arms just popped right back. At this point, Terra had just stopped being surprised and asked the important question. So what's this third and final step? Naruto grinned evilly. Training. Training your body and your powers. That is what we are going to do until to deserve the title Majin Terra. 4 years later. Rob, what's going on? My sensors are picking up tremors just outside the city. Cyborg was talking whilst checking at the display on his forearm. Robin was typing away at the computer, trying to track it to its source. That's weird. The source of the tremors keeps changing, but it's always in the canyon outside the city. Please, friend Robin, we will do the investigating. I do not like the shaking. Starfire was, as always, flying around Robin. That's right, Starfire. Titans, move out. With Terra and Naruto, come on, Terra, you can do better than that. Naruto grinned as he playfully taunted her, making her shout and create a fist of stone that she sent at him. Naruto brought both hands behind his head and performed a double axe handle. Honestly, guys, it took me ages to find out the name of that. A double axe handle is one of those moves in Dragon Ball Z where the person intertwines their fists and pounds them down, usually on an opponent's head or back, which in DBZ usually sends them crashing down into the earth. Yai for the half hour of searching. And sent the stone fist crashing down into the ground in front of him. Terra ran forward and began exchanging blows with Naruto. 4 years of Dragon Ball Z of constant physical training had made her stronger than she had ever believed. No longer was she just skin and bone. 4 years of eating right and constant physical exercise had built up her muscles and body. No longer did she look like the half-starved orphan she appeared as when Naruto found her. No, instead, she was a slim young woman with great muscle tone and barely C-cup breasts. But that didn't matter in a fight. After exchanging a couple of blows, which were dodged with contemptuous ease by Naruto, Terra created a pair of stone gloves. She seamlessly continued to fight, despite her hands weighing a lot more. Terra waited for the opportune moment and... There! She made the ground move from underneath Naruto's left foot. This ruined his balance for a split second, more than enough time for Terra to nail him with a right hook to his face. Again, the sight became quite comical, as her fist left a large impression on his head, causing all of his facial features to disappear. He wobbled a few steps back before reaching in and pulling his face back out. He let go of his nose and grinned. "Good, Terra. Your control has improved dramatically. Heads up, we've got company." Terra smiled mischievously. 4 years spent traveling the world, and training had made her teacher adopt some rather odd speech patterns. Well, odder than usual. He used many more cliches from watching in-flight movies. She still didn't know how he got the money, and she didn't feel like prying. As far as she cared, she had her lifetime wish of companionship and control of her powers. She wasn't going to endanger things with petty questions. And to be honest, she didn't care. These past 4 years had been the best of her life. Well, the best of her life, after activating her powers. Naruto still said she hadn't reached the level of Majin. Honestly, what kind of level is that? It seems almost unobtainable. Not that I'm complaining. I'm stronger than ever. But Naruto will just keep on pushing me until I earn the title of Majin. I guess that's why I love no like him. Keep it together, Terra. Now, who are our uninvited guests? I've never had fresh sparring partners. I hope they're strong. Robin and the rest of the Titans felt a collective chill run down their backs as they climbed over a rise. "We are close now, guys. 20 meters, and up that next rise is where the last quake happened." Cyborg was making frequent checks on his arm's display screen. "Starfire, can you check it out?" Robin and the rest of the Titans were sneaking around. They suspected that the cause of the quakes was man-made. "Heads up, guys. I've got a heartbeat. And something else. I'm not sure what it is." Cyborg continued to report. "Starfire?" Robin looked at her in askance again. She silently nodded. "Starfire, be careful." She nodded again and flew higher. Over the rise, she spotted 2 people. One was a girl with long blonde hair, and the other was a boy with spiky blonde hair. Once again, the English language fucks with us. Blonde for female and blonde for male. WWTF. They were both looking right at her. She eeped and flew back down. "Starfire, what's wrong?" Robin was looking concerned. He was always concerned about her. He really has a soft spot for her, Raven thought. "Friend Robin, we are expected. And friend Cyborg, there are 2 people." This caused them all to frown as they ascended the last rise. A person without a heartbeat? Probably a robot. I'll be ready. But when all the Titans ascended the rise, they did indeed see 2 humans. Before the Titans could move on to confront the pair, Raven yelled out, "Wait!" "What is it, Raven?" Robin asked as they all turned back to look at her, only to see something they had never seen in their lives. Raven's eyes were wide open, and her entire body was shaking. Sweat was beginning to drip from her hands and face, and she was almost kneeling. She looked terrified. "You Raven, what's the problem?" Cyborg offered her his hand, which, in another show of uncharacteristic behavior, she took. "Okay, seriously, Raven, you're starting to creep me out." This was, of course, Beast Boy. At everyone's flat looks, Beast Boy folded and put his right hand behind his head. "Okay, more than usual." Satisfied at making Beast Boy confess, everyone turned back to Raven, waiting for her to speak her mind. "That boy, the one without a heartbeat, he is made almost totally out of dark magic. He feels so dark and insane at his core. It's repulsing even my power." All the Titans were shocked. "That blonde boy?" They all thought at once. The Titans all turned back to look at the pair, only for Robin to find the boy standing an inch away from him with an insane, toothy smile on his face. And then they all saw his eyes, jet-black sclery with red irises. Robin was usually used to such disturbing sights. Living in Gotham kind of desensitized you. But something about this boy's appearance truly disturbed him. This person looked only 16, a similar age to all the Titans, yet Robin felt as if he was looking at a cross between the Joker and the Scarecrow. It sure as hell freaked out the other Titans, as they all jumped back and Starfire freaked out and hid behind Robin. This was ironic because Robin was the closest Titan to the object of her terror. Suddenly, Boo's arm shot out, way too fast for any of them to see. His right hand grabbed Robin by the throat and pulled him away from Starfire. Before any of them could even react, he threw the boy wonder into the Temeranian princess and sent them both flying towards their friends. Both were luckily caught by Raven's magic. This just made Naruto stare at her intensely. Raven shivered at his gaze. Cyborg's arm shifted into its sonic cannon form that he aimed at him. All the Titans were surprised when he just started laughing. The evil sound of his laughter, both smooth and rough at the same time, made them all experience cold shivers. His laughter stopped abruptly for seemingly no reason at all. This put them all on edge. "You'll do. Terra, get over here." He looked back at the blonde girl who was 20 meters away and at the foot of the rise. She rose on a flying boulder that she created from the earth below her. She rode it up to meet them, hands glowing yellow outline. "Hi, I'm Terra. What are your names?" She smiled warmly at them. All the Titans were completely off balance. This happy and cheerful girl was with this psychopath? Hi, my name's Beast Boy. This is Cyborg and Raven." Whilst the introductions were underway, Robin and Starfire stood up after being caught by Raven. "Thanks for the save, Raven." Robin turned back to the crazy kid. "What do you want? Why are you causing earthquakes?" He started addressing most of this to Terra. She obviously has the power to move Earth. But Naruto responded. "I was training her. She has yet to reach the rank of Majin. By attempting to kill..." "Defeat, Master. I am not killing the Teen Titans." Naruto looked eerily at Terra, who met his gaze with equal intensity. They entered a minor staring match before Naruto conceded. "Fine. By attempting to defeat the Teen Titans, you will help her improve. Terra, how good is their teamwork?" This was the Yondaime speaking. Teamwork was key in Konoha. Terra had read up about all the local villains and heroes. Naruto honestly didn't care. "Very good from what I have heard. If I defeat them, will you finally give me the rank of Majin?" Whilst the pair was talking, the Titans were watching their conversation go back and forth like a tennis match, their mouths getting progressively wider. "Hey, don't we get a say in this?" Beast Boy was ignored by the pair. Robin was busy observing them, hoping their clothing could give away something about their abilities away. The male, obviously the blonde girl's master, was shirtless from the waist up and completely ripped. He wore long, loose white pants that were tucked into black boots. He had a gold belt with an engraved M on the buckle. Could that mean Majin? What does it mean? The girl, Terra, was wearing an unmarked black t-shirt and yellow hot pants. For footwear, she wore a pair of brown hiking boots. That's probably the only clue about the girl's powers, boots offering ankle support. "You'll have to find that out for yourself, Terra. Now go." Terra's eyes glowed yellow, and she powered up. Looking at the Titans, she said, "Try and make this interesting for me," before clapping her hands together. It unleashed a massive shockwave of earth in a crescent in front of her. All the Titans were forced to separate and dodged it in their own ways. Starfire and Beast Boy flew away. Raven created a black dome that took the blast, and Cyborg and Robin smashed their way through, with Cyborg using his brute strength and Robin using his acrobatics and bow staff. Terra grinned and ran right at the Teen Titans, showing that she wasn't afraid of close-quarters combat. Robin swung his bow staff at Terra, aiming for her neck. but she ducked at an almost impossible angle and ran right under the strike. Her right arm lashed out and punched Robin's thigh hard. She succeeded in deadening it, which would slow Robin down considerably. Cyborg fired his sonic cannon at close range, straight at Terra. She created a hole to fall down in, which closed up behind her. Robin, who was now walking with a slight limp, turned to their goth mage. "Raven, can you find her?"
Raven concentrated and closed her eyes before she nodded, saying, "She's underground, about 20 meters below us." Suddenly, all the Titans were pinned to the ground, as if it was an elevator that was rising rapidly.
Back at ground level, Naruto grinned as she saw Terra lift the entire rise up and send it flying into the air. With a supreme scream of effort, Terra brought her fists smashing together and detonated the massive amount of flying rock. Out of the rubble emerged a flying starfire, throwing starbolts at Terra. Terra gasped and made a dome of rock to shield her. This was then blown to pieces by Cyborg's sonic cannon. Cyborg was caught by a flying pterodactyl, and Robin was caught by a flying starfire, since the canyon didn't have much for his grappling hook to stick to. But what they didn't know was that Naruto was watching Starfire very carefully. "Flying and Kai blasts? Is she a Z fighter?" As Naruto continued to watch the fight take place, he reached his own conclusion. "No, but her abilities are very similar." Naruto kept watching in amusement as Terra played whack-a-mole with Robin using his bow staff. Beast Boy turned into a snake and tried following her in. The moment he was underground, Terra jumped out of a hole and closed all the holes whilst she was in mid-air. In response, Beast Boy transformed into a green gorilla, which smashed out of the ground. He sent a haymaker at Terra, which she backflipped and cartwheeled away from. Robin stepped up and launched his explosive discs at her, only for Terra to fire rocks right back at him. "Azarath, Metreon, Zinthos!" Terra was finally struck down by Raven, whom she had ignored with all the action going on. Terra was smashed into a cliff by a black hand of Raven's power. The cliff had spiderweb cracks from the impact, and Raven was afraid that she had overdone it, until Terra just shook off the shook and started laughing. This laugh wasn't evil, or even twisted like her master's. It was happy. Robin suddenly had a disturbing thought. She's laughing as if she was happy to fight, as if she enjoys fighting for the sake of fighting. Terra started speaking, showing no fear that she was being held by Raven's power. In fact, she doesn't seem injured at all. "Master, it seems 5 Titans are one too many for me to handle, so how did I do?" Terra turned her head to look at her master. Naruto began walking towards the Titans. "Ha! Ha! Ha! Ha!" Each laugh was punctuated with another slow step. "You did adequately. I can't teach you anymore." The Teen Titans got into their fighting positions, except for Raven, who kept her spell on Terra. "The rest will have to be experienced," Terra gasped. You're not leaving me, are you?" Terra looked like she was about to cry. Naruto just looked surprised. "What gave you that idea?" Naruto was 3 meters away from the Teen Titans. "Anyway, the Teen Titans. You have fought my apprentice. Now show me what you can do against the Master." Chapter 4. The Stomping. Naruto charged at the Teen Titans with his right fist cocked back. Robin quickly got over his shock at Naruto's speed and shouted his command, "Titans, go!" They all charged at him, save Raven, who was still holding Terra against the cliff. Robin was the first Titan to meet Naruto and swung his bow staff at his neck. But instead of dodging it, like his apprentice Terra, Naruto caught the bow staff in his left hand and snapped it like a toothpick. He then punched Robin in the chest with his right fist, hard. hard enough to shatter every rib in his body and send Robin flying away into a boulder, leaving spiderweb cracks. "Robin!" Starfire flew up to begin pelting Naruto with starbolts, only for Naruto to blur out of existence. He appeared right below her and reached out with his right hand. He grabbed her by the ankle and, showing enormous strength, pulled her back first into the ground. After smashing her into the ground, he spun around and threw her like a rag doll, skipping her into a mountain. The impact was so hard that the mountain collapsed on top of her. "Rob! Starfire! Rah!" Cyborg shouted and charged at Naruto, firing his sonic cannon as he ran. Naruto blurred out of existence and appeared behind Cyborg. Before he could react, Naruto shot a purple beam at him from his right index finger, turning him into a waffle. I hope the irony is not lost on people. Beast Boy transformed into a green Tyrannosaurus and chomped down on Naruto's body, only for Naruto's free left hand to power up a vanishing beam and vaporize Beast Boy's right arm and leg. Beast Boy returned to his original form, suffering from shock. A free and unharmed Naruto threw his body away and finally turned to Raven. And then there was Raven. Raven was looking terrified at this strange creature, which didn't even have a scratch from Beast Boy biting him. He is definitely not human. There is no way a human could have this much of a dark magic presence, or have no injuries. Whilst her thoughts were logical, her emotions were not. Rage was building an army inside of her, and Timid was rapidly losing ground. "You hurt my friends!" Raven looked straight at Naruto, who was surprised to see that her eyes were now red, and she had another pair of smaller red eyes above them. Interesting, she definitely has some demon blood in her. Maybe a Hanyu? "Terra, avenge your loss and defeat her, otherwise you shall never acquire the rank of Majin," Naruto said to Terra before sitting down on the ground to watch the show. He made the waffle, which was previously Cyborg, float into his hand. He began munching on the waffle, much to Raven's shock. "Right, Master!" Raven turned her attention back to Terra. Terra closed her eyes and began to really concentrate. Her eyes began to glow yellow through her eyelids. Then her whole body began to gain a glowing yellow outline. Finally, she opened her eyes, which were fully yellow and streaming with her power. The entire cliff face that Raven was holding her against cracked. With a groan that rapidly became a rumble, the entire canyon began shaking. Finally, the cliff shattered, along with the entire mountain behind it. Raven only now recognized the danger Terra posed. Every bit of the flat cliff acted like giant flying shards of glass. Terra landed on the flat of one piece, using it like a hoverboard. "Ah!" Terra screamed as she pushed both her arms out at Raven, sending the pieces off the cliff face right at her. Raven dodged a few before creating a force field to protect her from the rest. That was what Terra was waiting for. She lifted up the leftover pieces of the mountain itself, each piece weighing more than 5 tons. Terra took a baseball pitching stance and sent them flying at Raven like the giant baseballs from hell. Raven's force field was pretty strong, but it was not made for this kind of force. It shattered under the abuse, and Raven was knocked out cold by the impact. Terra flew down to her master and asked the big question. "So, Master, did I get the rank of Majin?" Terra was bouncing up and down on her rock hoverboard like an excited schoolgirl. Naruto made a great show of finishing his waffle, which had previously been Cyborg, before putting his chin in his hand. "Yes, Terra, you finally have the rank of Majin." "Wahoo! Yes, wahoo!" Terra began flying around the canyon, weaving through boulders and mountains on her rock hoverboard. She kept cheering and yelling for almost 2 minutes before she finally returned to Naruto. "So, Master, what do I do now?" Terra was beginning to look a bit pensive. Naruto chose to lie down on the canyon floor. It's Naruto or Buu now, Terra. You can do whatever you want. You can take your own apprentice, try to take over the city or the world, or you could stick with me. I am a very interesting person to work with. Isn't that the truth? Terra thought wryly. Then she remembered the Teen Titans. She found it morbidly amusing that she had forgotten about them, especially because Beast Boy was literally missing an arm and a leg and busy bleeding out. All the other Titans were in bad shape too, but she was so caught up in her celebrations of getting the rank of Majin that she completely forgot about them. Ah, Naruto. What about the Teen Titans? Naruto opened his eyes, which he had closed whilst lazing around in the sun. She had long gotten used to his eyes, the who, and general cluelessness. Terra felt a migraine coming up. You know, the group you almost wiped out a couple of minutes ago? They are busy dying. Maybe you should heal them. Terra's tone of voice promised pain for Naruto, although she was sure her now ex-master was invincible. Oh, all right. I guess we defeated them. Naruto fired a blue beam from his index finger at Beast Boy. After a couple of seconds, he regrew his right arm and leg. Naruto then fired another beam at Robin, which mended his ribs and cracked his skull. He finally spat out something small, which in a puff of smoke turned back into Cyborg. When he turned back to Terra, his eyes were drawn to her waist. Terra began blushing as she noticed his attention. Does he like what he sees? I wouldn't mind being under that ripped body. I forgot to give you your own belt. And the fantasy just died. What? Terra's ahem, dignified response was cut short when Naruto fired a purple beam at her rock hoverboard. With a puff of smoke, it turned into a gold utility belt with an engraved M on its buckle. Think Terra's utility belt, just with an engraved M for Majin. Of course, this made Terra fall right on her ass. But Naruto never worried about such small details. Until... Master... Terra started giving him the puppy dog pout, obviously waiting for something. Naruto was looking conflicted. Despite being a classified psychopath, both Buu and Naruto had a weakness for puppies that they never really got over. Naruto couldn't really find it in him to hurt Akamaru, and Buu had a soft spot for Bee since he regained his sanity. Apparently, this carried over to puppy looks too. And, I guess, good job or something. Naruto had a faint blush at being made to say something like that. Terra grinned. Better. Back at Slade's headquarters, Slade was wildly swinging at a red punching bag, channeling his fury away. He never lost his cool in battle because of this and other activities like it. But after 4 years of research and many ambushes, he was still no closer to finding a way to get rid of that creature known as Majin Naruto Buu. He seemed to be made of rubber. He never bled and absorbed all impact, and even worse, was excellently trained in martial arts and had super strength. He even had the ability to fire energy blasts like Starfire, and seemed to possess massive amounts of dark magic, if Raven's comments were to be believed. And then there was this new attack. The ability to turn matter into anything it seemed. For our readers' benefit, Buu can transform anything into anything besides food. He can even materialize drinks. This is all canon BTW, but he can only transform people into food and seems to prefer using people for anything else besides food too, for obvious reasons. He is crazy, and awesome, and pink, but this isn't the time for my Buu worshipping. Slade's fist went into the punching bag as he let out his frustration. It's like fighting all the Titans at once. Cue giant epiphany. Turn the Titans against him. But wait, he just showed what would happen. But turn his apprentice and the Titans against him. Make Terra one of the Titans, that's it. Robin will make Buu his new priority, and Terra would help if she is befriended by them. Even if they all lose, I will step in and kill him. My prize will be both my apprentices, and if I can't beat him, I still win since the Teen Titans will be gone. With his nefarious plan all planned out, Slade decided it would soon be time to create a bonding experience for Terra and the Titans. He just needed to finish those worms and find out just one fact that could turn Terra against Naruto. Back at Titan's Tower. Ow, what hit me, dude? Beast Boy was busy waking up with a killer headache and a sore body. One sniff, and he realized that he was not in his room. This doesn't smell like my room. It smells like a couch in Titan's Tower. Those couches had very unique smells on them, a mixture of motor oil and sweat that only Beast Boy could detect. But the smells were still comforting. Beast Boy remembered the fight, but then why would he wake up on a couch with all his limbs intact if the fight was real? So he chalked it up to be a weird dream. He opened his eyes and took in a very bizarre sight. All the Teen Titans seemed to be asleep on couches around the TV. But that wasn't the weird part. No, the weird part was the positions they were in. Starfire and Robin were in the classic 69 position with Starfire's miniskirt covering Robin's head, leaving no question about what the Boy Wonder was seeing. If he was awake. They both seemed unconscious, but it was unclear if they were asleep or unconscious, at least if you didn't know Robin. Beast Boy knew Robin wouldn't be ever caught in this position with Starfire, and he knew that Robin was a very light sleeper. So he is unconscious, just like me. Beast Boy sat up and took a look around the rest of the room for the two missing Titans. On the third and final couch in the room was Cyborg, who seemed to be covered in waffles. Okay, dude, this is seriously weird. Were we attacked or not? Did Mad Mod come and attack us again? Or is that Boo guy real? Maybe I should wake up Robin. Beast Boy was about to wake up Robin when he remembered his position with Starfire. On second thoughts, I wonder how fast I can book a flight to Jamaica. I do not want to be here when he wakes up. Beast Boy turned into a seagull and took off for a flight very, very far away. Robin's POV. I smell something sweet. I wonder what it tastes like. Robin wasn't even in a semi-lucent state when he started licking Starfire's clothed pussy. Of course, he wouldn't be Robin if such a state did last for longer than a few seconds. He quickly returned to his senses, but still found that he was completely lost. There seemed to be a dim purple light wherever he was, and his face was touching something soft. And his tongue felt like it was rubbing against silk cloth. That tasted sweet. Cloth that tastes sweet? Wait a minute, where am I? Suddenly, he heard a scream. Ah! Starfire's POV. Awareness returned quickly to Starfire. She felt incredibly sore all over, but could definitely tell that nothing was broken or too badly damaged. She opened her eyes and stared down at a person's crotch. Where am I? Where is Robin and Cyborg and... Starfire's thought processes ground to a halt when she realized just whose legs she was looking at. Robin's legs? Then he started licking. What's going on? Oh, Robin, don't lick there. Oh, it's dirty. Ah! Starfire had almost started moaning when Robin stopped licking. Is this an Earth custom? Maybe I must lick and suck Robin down there to repay him. But just as she was about to lean down and return the favor, she heard a scream. Ah! Cyborg's POV. No, waffles! Nice, giant, evil waffles! Cyborg was dreaming about a tribe of giant waffles with arms and legs holding spears and chanting as they roasted him on a spit. The chanting reached a crescendo before the dream suddenly changed. Now he was in a court dressed in black and white striped prisoner overalls. The only problem was that the judge, jury, and witnesses were all waffles with bow ties. Cyborg, said the waffle with the white wig on, We, the court, pronounce you guilty of multiple counts of murder in the first degree against young and innocent Waffles. Your sentence is life as a Waffle." At this point, Cyborg woke up terrified. His eyes shot open, and he saw his entire vision was covered with Waffles. He let out a terrified scream. "Ah!" Raven's POV. Raven's room was soundproof to all who weren't speaking to her right outside her door, so she had a peaceful sleep. When she finally woke up, one of the first things she saw was a wrapped present on her bedside table, complete with the black ribbon. Although a bit wary, she found the card next to the present. It simply said, "From your new friends." Raven was still a bit woozy when she read this, so it didn't set off alarm bells like it should have. She opened the present and found what seemed to be a picture frame. Lifting it up, she held it to the light of her bedroom lamp. Raven gasped and dropped the picture, which didn't do anything to it when it hit the floor due to the invisible seals Naruto had drawn on it. The picture was of two people she had half convinced herself only existed in her mind. A blonde girl giving the peace sign to the camera, eyes closed and smile wide. Standing next to her was the object of her fear. There stood Buu, arms crossed with a positively evil and toothy grin at the camera. His red eyes stood out from his black sclerae like blood on black rocks. She checked again at the present, almost afraid to see what else was in there, only to be rendered speechless and blushing heavily, because there, sitting innocently in the box, was a pink dildo. End chapter.
Okay, sadly chapter is over, and if you enjoyed, just leave a like and subscribe with a post notification so when the chapter is ready you will be notified. Okay, see you next one, bye.